So everything we've done so far, and then what we're going to add in, I'm still talking as if my partner's here, but I always do that. I was telling, what's your name again? Kim, that I always do this with my colleague, and rarely do we go out alone, but we have to do 2 different things this week, so I'm here by myself, but I still talk as if she's here, say we. When we plan these events, we always want you to have time to work on your own stuff. I think that's critical. So we're going to do this next part of the session, but then at the end, I'm going to ask you to take time to sit and think about, if you're an administrator, your staff, to think about, if you're an English teacher, your a unit, not the whole year, but a unit, and how you might tweak it. If you're a counselor, how you might, actually administrators, counselors, etc., how would you incorporate this in your work, but also how would you encourage teachers in your building to get involved, if you think it's worthy, to get involved in this type of work. So I want you to have your own time at the end, so I'm just telling you that up front. The other thing I want to do before we move on, actually I'm going to wait. Don't let me forget my slab of marble, okay? Because usually at this point we do the slab of marble. We're going to move into this session about what was asked of us, and I'm here doing it, is part of Schools to Watch is about culturally responsive teaching. So, how do we see this framework meeting the research on culturally responsive teaching? So one of the benefits of that is, as I've talked with some of you individually, the School of Education that I am currently a part of has revised their entire program around culturally responsive teaching. And basically it's around social justice and equity. And we have revised the program so much so, and I'm very, this sounds like a bad thing, but I'm very happy about this. And I don't mean it to be a bad thing. If a teacher comes to our program and can't accept socially just and equitable teaching, then they either ask to leave or we ask them. We're very serious about that mission in urban schools. And it took us 4 years to change our program from what you probably all would recognize as a fairly standard, we thought we were good, as a fairly standard teacher preparation program, to now you could come and visit us and it would be obvious that we are an urban, socially just and equitable teaching program. That took a while. And that took a lot of deep discussion and a lot of experts coming in and evaluating us. And I got to meet some really great people in the field and talk to them. So, being we are doing that, I have some concrete things to share with you around this topic, as well as I know you have a wealth of information to share around this topic. So I want to set that up. The way I learned this next thing from Dr. Cheryl Matias, who came to us from UCLA just this year, who studied under, I have to look up his name. Her whole program was about social justice and equity. So when she does her classes, she starts every one of her classes, every one of her workshops, etc., the way we're going to do this next piece. So, I learned this next thing from Dr. Cheryl Matias, who came to us from UCLA just this year, who studied under, I have to look up his name. Her whole program was about social justice and equity. So when she does her classes, she starts every one of her classes, every one of her workshops, etc., the way we're going to do this next piece. So, her contention is, you can't be socially just and equitable if all of us don't know who we are. And then she does this nice little exercise to get that out in the classroom. So I stole it from her, I'm bringing it to you. What I would like you to do is, there are note cards in those little boxes on your tables, or sticky note, or whatever. What I'd like you to do is each get a note card, or it's actually better on a note card than a sticky note. So if you're out of note cards, there's some here. Is there anybody that needs note cards? Let me know. And you should have something to write with. And I know a couple of you are very interested in parent involvement around these ideas, parents' involvement in education in the community, etc. And trust me, this is all leading, bringing that together. So what I would like you to do on these note cards, and these are elements that you're willing to share. You have all been on a journey. You all have a story. We'd like to take a moment and for you to jot down 4 places on your journey. So let me model you. I can't ask you to do something less than model. So I mentioned earlier that I'm from, actually it's a little suburb of Pittsburgh, but suburbs of Pittsburgh are pretty much like Pittsburgh, not much different. My hometown was a steel mill. The only reason it existed was for the steel mill. And my town was diverse. Okay, so it was diverse and segregated as could be. We actually had plans. Now, if any of you are from the Pennsylvania or Pittsburgh area, is there anybody here? But the history of those towns were they were purposely set up to segregate the groups. Yeah, up in the north, right.
I'm from the north.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was Plan 1, literally the town was built. Plan 1, Plan 2, Plan 3, Plan 4, 5, and Plan 6 was the Irish. Plan 11 was for blacks, African Americans, etc. Plan 12 was for Italians. I'm trying to remember all these. It kind of faded a lot of them, but that's how it was set up. And there was literally a company store. You hear those old songs about company stores, where people's paychecks would go to the company store, usually because people had to eat along the way, and the company store would let you write that, kind of like charge it, but they didn't charge interest, and then pay would come. The checks would literally go to the company store. You really wouldn't have anything. You start again the next month. Very interesting situation. Anyway, that was a huge part of my growing up, was segregation. And part of it was I played basketball. So basketball was a huge blip. That's what I put down on my card, basketball. Because basketball, I saw as my way out of the community, as many kids did. But I used to go to Plan 11 to play basketball, because that's where the best basketball was played. So there were me and 2 other white kids, and the kids at Plan 11. Played basketball all the time. But a huge issue for me was not only basketball, but when the riots broke out in '68, and there were 2 of us on that court, 3 of us on that court who were white, and everyone else was African American. And the riots were boiling over, and they came up to the outside basketball court, and they saw the 3 of us, and the 3 of us looked at each other and said, "Oh, shit, it's over." And I never forgot this. 2 things happened. My buddies were 6'8", 6'7", 6'6". They were the stars. And we were good friends. You know, went to each other's homes, which was huge for us in those days. Me getting to go to a black person's home was like, wow. Changed changed us and them coming into my home and going, wow, it's like this is in '68. And people, you realize this. A lot of my students don't. And these guys looked at a group of guys coming at us and said, don't even think about it. And literally probably saved our lives. And that was something in my, that, you know, it was all about basketball till that day. Then after that day, it was all about, wow, what the hell is going on? That was a key. So that's another blip on my cell phone. Another blip on my card, for example,